Hey free to play gang, welcome back to another video. So we finally have the Ollie showcase. So it just dropped about an hour ago, which could be about 2 hours for you, depending on how fast I can record this video. But anyway, let's get on with the video. So we're going to take a good look at Ollie and what he can do and how good he can potentially be. And I will explain everything and my own thought process about this character as well. So if you're not sure whether you still want to pull on the banner or not, honestly the short answer is going to be yes, definitely pull for the banner. If not because of Ollie or some of the new espers, then definitely pull because of the summoning event. So if you find that this video has been helpful for you, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Subscribing is free and you can always change your mind afterwards. Now on with the showcase. Now for the first skill we have Hook Strike, so I've talked about this before. Deals damage to an enemy with a chance of inflicting silence. Now this is a potentially very interesting debuff because it prevents the enemy from using their second or third skills. So it has a little bit of advantage being used with Avatara, but I do feel like just hard stuns are going to be a lot better. Now let's take a look at his second skill. This is Salvific Judgments, and it's a passive, so when an allied esper takes a fatal hit, grants Salvific Judgments to prevent them from dying, as well as invincibility and recovery, and inflicts Law of Duat on the attacker. Now we'll talk about Law of Duat in just a bit, but there are two things that I do not know over here. So number one, is he also considered an ally? So does that mean that he protects himself from dying? Or is this just strictly for your allies? And now the second question that I have is, what is the cooldown of this skill? Now if this skill has a really short cooldown and you use him with Ocean Waves, that could be pretty good. However, if this skill is really long, then it seems kind of weird to be on a DPS esper like him. So there could be a possibility that he is not necessarily needing to be built like a DPS esper. And in fact, possibly building him with a lot of speed could make a lot of sense because then he takes a lot of turns and he becomes some kind of standing totem that prevents his allies from dying. So that could be one possibility. Now let's take a look at his third skill. This is the Law of Duat. And do take note that he casts this when his passive triggers as well, which is a free skill 3 just like that. So here's what it does. It deals damage to an enemy with additional damage based on the target's max HP. Now inflicts defense down and taunt to them. Furthermore, you also gain invincibility, which also works really well with the taunt. So I have a lot more questions here as well, okay? So my first question is, does the defense break and the taunt apply before he attacks? Or does it happen before that? Because if it applies before he attacks, he can potentially do a ton of damage because of the defense down debuff. However, if he applies after that, then obviously it loses a little bit of value. But still, I feel like he works really well with Avatara because if he's invincible, then he can take any kind of damage. And especially since the enemy is taunted, and he can counter attack with a silence as well, which is I think is pretty good. So it is very clear that he is a strict counter to the new espers, alright? So like for example, Laura and Nicole, they both are supposed to be built with a lot of HP, and possibly even Meredith as well. So if the meta evolves more towards tanky espers like Nicole, Laura, Sally, and I mean, okay, it's not as if it's not already a tanky meta right now, but if you're going more in that direction, then I think that he has a lot of value because he deals damage based on the enemy's max HP, and unlike Charmers, he actually protects himself instead of losing his own HP. So that is one way that I think he can excel in the current state of the game. And he also has a really good typing that counters a lot of the tanky espers. So what I'm trying to look out for this esper in order to decide whether is he really good or not, is that I need his third skill to have a cooldown of 3 or less. Okay, I mean, you can't go less than that, but I'm looking for a cooldown of 3. If not, it's not going to be that reliable anymore, because anything longer than that is way too long. That's what she said. And I mean, okay, so his kit is really interesting in the sense that, yeah, you can protect your allies, but I'm just not seeing it in terms of DPS, or maybe because I have not actually tested him out, or maybe I haven't even seen him yet. But I don't necessarily feel like he is extremely overpowered, unless he has short cooldowns, okay? So if he has short cooldowns, then I think he can be very annoying, which is where I think he sells himself the most. I mean, yeah, okay, so his passive is really good, because it protects any of your other espers from dying. But like just in terms of DPS, I don't see that he has the same kind of DPS that like let's say Narmer can do, or Lincel, or maybe even Drew, right? I don't think he could possibly out DPS a Drew. But with that said, I do feel like he can be potentially quite useful in Chronos, and especially Chronos. So the thing is, Chronos does land at one very nasty hit, and that could potentially snipe out one of your espers. And if you're using him with like let's say Freddy, if Freddy gets knocked out cold, then Freddy doesn't die, but he does insane amount of damage that way. And at the same time, you're going to counterplay with a defense break, which possibly sets you up for some incredible DPS afterwards. Now obviously, apart from Freddy, I do believe that there are other espers that work really well with him. So like for example, Narmer is going to be a perfect pick, right? Now most enemies are going to target your Narmer first because Narmer is going to be very weak. but if your Nama gets sniped immediately, he is going to gain 2 buffs. So he's going to get 1 invincibility buff and he's going to get a regeneration buff. So that's already a few stacks to his passive. And basically, it's going to be so hard to counterplay against this Nama, right? Because now you need to strip the Nama before you can take him out, but chances are that's not going to happen and Nama is just going to rain a lot of DPS on your entire team. So that could potentially be one very sick combo, I think. And of course, Ollie is going to be so good with Taylor, right? I mean, the lower the HP of Taylor, the more damage he can do. So I'm banking on the idea that Ollie is going to be a holo battle Esper. So I strongly believe that he's going to get some kind of like attack bonus or something for the holo battle. And here's a final thought, right? Let's say the passive doesn't work on himself, so people are most likely going to take him out, right? And if that's the case, I think it might make a lot of sense to actually build him very tanky. Cause then if they do target your Ollie first, they are going to realize very quickly that they are wasting their time, and that is already way too late for them. And at the same time, you're also going to survive a very big hit. So I don't know man, I feel like he's quite interesting. I really wish I could get him on the banner day itself and possibly to test him out to see how he fares in like 2 different builds, right? One is just going to be the full attacker build and the other is going to be the more tanky supporty build. So what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on Ollie and what are you looking out for? What do you think is the right build for him based on what you're seeing over here? And do you agree or disagree with my evaluation on Ollie? Let me know as well. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, it really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now this has been Daddy Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.